having me, and thanks Tracy for organizing it. She really made this happen, so thank you to Tracy for that. So in my 15 years as a speaker, a mentor, and an impact entrepreneur, speaking to overwhelmed moms and overworked entrepreneurs, I've noticed that so many people are not having the impact that they want. Like, they're not following their dreams the way they thought their life and their dreams were going to go. And I found that they tend to be living in like one of 4 zones. So I'm going to walk you guys through these zones, and at one stage I'm going to see where you think you might be at. So the first zone is what I call the disconnected zone. And in the disconnected zone, you're kind of like going through life, going through the motions, but almost on autopilot. Like, you're not really connected to what you're doing. You're just going to work, coming home, maybe making the kids lunch or whatever, but you're just kind of going through the motions. Your heart's not in it. The next zone, I call the should zone. And in the should zone, we're kind of coming from a place of duty and obligation. Like, we're just doing, what we think we should do or what we said we would do. And when you're in that zone, it's really tricky because you feel like you're doing everything for everybody else. And you're not always doing like what you actually want to be doing. So the third zone, I call the frustration zone. So in the frustration zone, things have changed because now you're doing things, but you're feeling a little bit bitter and resentful about it. Has anyone ever been there? It's like basically the first few years of my parenting career. Frustration zone. He's like, when is he gonna get home? I'm making the dinner, right? But here's the thing, in the frustration zone, this is when it can start to affect our health, our marriage, our happiness, our work relationships. Because instead of just feeling guilty, we're feeling angry. But where we want to get to is what I call the up your brave zone. The up your brave zone. You guys might call it happiness or bliss or whatever. And it's not so much like fuel the fear and do it anyway. It's not like, let's go bungee jumping. I actually used to be an outward bound instructor, so I used to make people like roll in the mud and do push-ups and swim out to the boat at night and all things. But it's not that. The up your brave zone is where you're living life and you're coming from a place of empowered choices and intentional actions. Meaning, you're doing what you actually want. Like, you're doing what you truly desire to do, and I'm touching my heart on purpose. Because I feel like so often in life we are, which what Tracy said, we're going through the to-do list, which never ends. But when we're guided by what we actually want to be doing, we're in this higher vibration, a higher energy. And the cool thing about that is that's when you start to hone into your personal impact factor. When you're actually doing what you want, what happens is other people, they start to do more of what they want to, and you therefore impact their lives just by living your life the way you want to live it. So, so cool. But here's the problem. Between the frustration zone and the up your brave zone, there's kind of this crevasse. I call it the reintroduction gap. It's like this space, a void maybe, where you're almost trying to like reintroduce yourself to the world. Maybe you decide to change jobs, or maybe you decide to learn a language or move countries or something like that. And in the reintroduction gap, you start to get pushback. You start to get people saying, you know what? I don't really think that's a good idea, right? Or you get people going, oh yeah, you think so? You think you're gonna apply for that job? Right? So you get people that are maybe like coming from a place of well-meaning for you, or maybe they're like, oh, a little bit jealous of your confidence or whatever, so you get this pushback, right? And that's where you can either slip back into one of those other zones, or you can up your brave and move forward. So I'm not gonna put you guys on the spot. I don't need to know what zone you're in. I just need to know that you know what zone you're in. So just pop your hand up if you feel like you know what zone you're in right now in your life. Cool. Pop your hand up if you're in the zone you want to be in right now. Yay. Okay, cool. Interesting. So I'm going to share with you a little story about that reintroduction gap. I don't know if you guys ever been in a stage where you kind of had to reintroduce yourself in a certain way. So here's a little story of a time when I had to do that. So I'm standing at the laundry line, beautiful sunny day, hanging at the washing. My daughter Ruby, she's at the gate, she's 4, and she's got her bike. We're getting ready to go to Montessori. And my little guy Jonah, he's in the garage, he's just finding his bike, and that's cool. All of a sudden, I get thrown to the ground. There's been a massive earthquake. It's like out of a movie. I'm crawling along the ground towards Jonah, and the garage door is coming down, and things are like moving all around him. I'm like, Jonah, like slow motion crawling towards him. It was the Christchurch earthquake, the second one. Nobody really talks about September. And the next day, within a 30-hour period, and in this order, my husband had lost his job. We had a massive earthquake, and my baby was born. I was pregnant when I was thrown to the ground. He was born the next day. So we had no house, no running water. It was like washing the nappies in a bucket, cooking on a barbecue. But we were actually alive and safe. And for me, gratitude, I was like, you know what? Honestly, when things like that happen, it's just a house. It's like, my baby is fine, like, right? Anyway, fast forward 3 weeks, we moved to Auckland. We started fresh. We had like no family in Auckland. You can probably pick up on my accent. And we started again. New house, new job, new neighborhood, no friends. I'm an extroverted extrovert. I was like, oh my God, I need people in my life. So I went about my way and I made some good friends. But then a few weeks later, I got this email from one of my mom friends. And she was like, no, Johnny, well, not his real name, won't be coming to Jonah's birthday party. I don't think they get on very well. And I read back going, oh, is there something I did? Is something wrong? I appreciate your honesty. Well, she let rip. She was like, I just find you really full on, and you're kind of intense. And she just went on, and I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And my first reaction was, I was like, did she not do the little course on how to give feedback? Doesn't she know you need some bun with your burger? It was like all burger. I'm not kidding you. There was none of this like, hey, I know you're really outgoing and you're trying to be friendly, or hey, I know you're new in town. There was none of that. It was straight for the burger. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so first my reaction was like angry, right? And I wanted to like march up to her when I saw her at school. And I wanted to just march up to her and be like, someday I'll be living in a big old city, and all you're ever gonna be is me. Why you gotta be so mean? Like I wanted to go up and just tell her. You know? But then I realized like I'm already living in a big old city, and the only thing I gotta be is me. Because what I started doing when she sent me that email is I started to change who I was. I started to water myself down. So the extroverted extrovert, who always wears bright colors, by the way, 50% of my wardrobe from a pre-loved op shop all the time, eco-friendly, I started to water myself down. Whenever I was around her or anyone who knew her, I would like dial it down. You guys know what I mean? And I didn't feel like me, and I'd be standing there with the moms, and I was like, it just felt like I was this empty person. And I just started judging, like, oh, what if I say this, then they'll think that. And I started doing that thing that Tracy was talking about, the inner critic thing. Until I realized, actually, I just have to be myself, you know? So I think that was the pushback. That was the time when I'm like, actually, am I gonna up my brave and be who I actually am and shine bright like a diamond? Or am I gonna try to water myself down to fit in? So for you guys, it might not have been new city and all that, and meeting new friends or whatever, but it might have been, has anyone moved from another country to New Zealand and started again, right? Not easy, right? I actually, on Sunday, I'm turning 46. It's my half and half birthday. I've been in New Zealand for 23 years. I moved here when I was 23. And I meet people and they're like, oh, did you just arrive? Are you traveling? I'm like, no. I was too old when I moved here. The accent will never leave. But it's not easy, right? Moving across the world, starting again, or even moving to a new city. Or even learning a new language, or starting a new job, or whatever it might be. So I want you to think of a time when you upped your brave, and you had to maybe reintroduce yourself to the world, whatever that looked like to you. Just think in your mind about that moment. And think about what gets us through. So sometimes I think about, what if I hadn't? Like, what if I hadn't upped my brave, and I just was like, changed who I was, just to fit in with these moms so that I would have friends. I had other friends. I decided to focus on the friends who liked me. What if I hadn't done that? And the interesting thing is, I don't think that I would have started my business. I actually ended up starting a business, doing something I loved, which is connecting people, the go-to girl. That's kind of, people know me as the go-to girl. And I started that business because my husband said, honey, I know you love having all these ladies around for like your free business coffee group, but we're like going backwards financially, so can you charge these ladies? And I started my business from a place of need, but also a place of love, doing what I do. And my business was based on helping people to shine, helping people to put themselves out there. I'm actually a confidence and visibility mentor. Now, I work with speakers, I help them get on TV. But imagine if I'd watered myself down and not done that. Crazy, right? All right, I'm gonna go to my slides. I'd love to hear from you guys. What is one thing that you've done to up your brave in the past? Does one person want to share while I get my slides sorted? What countries have we come from?
I'm from Malaysia.
Are you?
Yeah.
Vietnam?
Namibia.
California.
Where?
California.
California, yeah.
I'll claim that.
Toronto, Canada. We are the United Nations. Okay. So yeah, so thinking about the zones. Remember I said I don't need to know what zone you're in, I just need you to know what zone you're in. But imagine if you lived your life guided by empowered choices and intentional actions. How would you feel? And who would you be? So these are three, I'm just gonna share with you guys 3 quick tips on how I can help, you move towards the up your brave zone or get into your personal impact factor. One of the first things is knowing who you are. How many people you've seen personality types before? You know that there's tests you can do. There's a really cool free one. It's called Spark Type. We can maybe send you the link, but anyway, it's called Spark Type. I really like this model. I find it easy to understand. This is not Spark Type. This one is the expressive, driver, analytic, and amiable. It's a version of the DISC analysis. So the first tip for you guys would, if you don't know your personality type, go and do some sort of assessment to figure out your personality type. And I love this because it's not putting people in a box. It's helping you to understand who you are so that you judge each other less. And that's the important part, right? So let's say you've got a boss and they're like, hey, you need to get that report in on time. And you're like, oh, they're not being a jerk. They're just an analytic driver. Okay, all good. So we understand each other better and we judge each other less. So I'll walk you through this. This is my family right here. So we've got the amiable, my dog, Stella the Spoodle, like, hey, wanna play? How's things, right? So she's like in your face all the time, super happy. Here's the thing with amiables. Sometimes we call it the disease to please. Have you heard about that? Because we try so hard to help everybody else at the expense of ourselves. It's like, oh no, you go ahead, no, after you, and then there's no seats at the table. The amiables are like, give, bitter and resentful, sick and injured. Because they've given all, like pouring from an empty cup, that total empty cup. So the amiables, you just need to watch yourselves so you don't give everything away. You still need to remember to look after number 1. The driver, Xavier, my youngest, my earthquake baby, who is 8. So he's the bossy boots in the family. But the drivers, they're like, make things happen, right? Jonah, my boy at the top, he's my expressive, the boy that I rescued out of the garage. And part of the story, it's a different story, but he has alopecia, in case you're wondering. So Jonah is my animated, expressive, charismatic person. So expressives, they like to talk or write. And also, so if you're working in a work environment and you know you're managing a team, anyone manage a team, like have to look after a bunch of people, right? So knowing the personality types and knowing, oh, she's an expressive, she always asks questions, or even working with kids. You know those kids that are like, they always ask, why, and they have 1,000 questions. You're like, oh no, they're not annoying, they're expressive, sweet, right? And you start understanding people better and judging them less, and that is so much better for your energy and your relationships. Then we have the analytic, my daughter Ruby. So the analytic, the perfectionist, right? They like lists, they like order, they like to know the plan. So if you have kids like that and you suddenly say, oh, you know how we were gonna go to Grandpa's house? Well, we're just gonna stop off at like Countdown on the way. Whoa, no, that was not the plan. We were going straight to Grandpa's house. Like the analytics, they don't like that. If you arrive late at kindergarten to drop them off, like that is not good. They missed mat time. Not good, right? So what happens, especially as parents, so I've written a parenting book, I did not invent this. This is a thing, it's like legit. But what happens is you start to understand your kids and you parent them individually, like equal but not the same, right? Same thing as people at work, we treat them equal but not the same. So I really love this. So if you guys haven't done that for yourselves, or at least you haven't done it in like 5 years or something, it's quite good to revisit. So I'm an expressive driver, in case you didn't notice. I love to talk, and I like to make things happen. I'm all about action. So when I work with people, I'm like, yeah, what's your goal? Let's get it done, let's get some results. I love that. But I'm also really nice. I'm also an amiable. And my bottom one is analytic. I'm not super into numbers and stats and data, whereas my husband is the flip side. He's like, show me the facts. Show me the figures. Oh, he's like a skeptic, right? So the analytics like the proof. Cool, is that helpful? That was a really quick lesson on personality types. But that is one of my tips for you guys, especially if you're reintroducing yourself to the world, understanding who you are. Thank you. Shopping trip. So Tracy and I went shopping. So one of the other ways that you can express who you are is through what you wear. When I work with my clients, I say what you wear is just as important as your website. How you show up, what you wear, it says a lot about who you are. And anyway, so we went shopping for some more, some awesome clothes at the op shop. It was great. So that is another thing. Again, I was 40 years old when I finally got my colors done. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me that gray and burgundy and brown are not my colors and I've been wearing those for 40 years? And so and she's like, no, bright blue and yellow. I'm like, okay, first of all, I don't do blue. I totally do blue. I wear the same coats. Tracy and I have matching jackets. Right? And so I'm just saying, so sometimes we want to revisit like how we're showing up in the world, energetically, but also physically with what you're wearing. Question about clothes? So tip number 2, say what you want. This is a thing we have in my family. It works magically. This is why we're still married after however many years. So I'll be like, okay, babe, so like tomorrow, are you swimming? Are you running? Like, well, you know, what's your plan? He goes, what do you want? I go, I want to go to Pilates at 7:30. He's like, I'll be home at 7. Done. I didn't really care if he was swimming or not. He gets up at 5, I mean, honestly. So here's the thing. We have this thing in my family. We go, what do you want? Like, say what you want. And it's just the thing. No one's offended because it's what we do. So it's like I'm giving the kids, like, they love frozen berries, blueberries. Jonah's like, Mom, Xavier got more than me. I'm like, say what you want. He goes, more berries, please. Right? Honestly, you guys, those words will change your life. It's so good. And if you explain it and people get into the groove, so what is it that you want? You know, some people, especially the expressives, want, want. You're like, yeah, what do you want? So they have to like call on their driver, and they have to like say, you know, what they want. So this is really, really, it's very effective. Who's gonna try it with your kids? Okay, so here's the other thing that I've noticed is when you're in the should zone over here, quite often we start using it in our language. We start saying things like should, need, and just. Oh, I really should. Oh, I should really sign up for the PTA because no one else is doing it. It's like, really? You think you should do that? That is not energy in someone who wants to do something, right? Or like, you know, I really need to. Do you really need to? So here's the thing. What would your life be like if you ditched the words should, need, and just from your vocabulary? Hashtag game changer. Seriously, if you do nothing else from my talk, it's like the next time you say, oh, I really need to, oh, that's right. Yeah, I need to. You know, and you change it, and you change it to want. And when people say, I really need to, I go, need or want? Right? Or I really need to do this, I say, what? Ready. I'm ready. It's so much more empowering. You see the difference in languaging? I'm a huge believer in empowered languaging. I even get to the point sometimes, can I just borrow this phone? I get to the point sometimes where a friend will message me and say, hey, do you want to meet for a coffee, whatever? I'm like, I just need to drop Jonah off at hip hop and then delete. I want to drop Jonah off at hip hop first and then I can meet you at 4 p.m. Like I literally catch myself and I delete what I just said, or I'll correct myself mid-sentence to more empowered languaging. It's a game changer. And remember the story about the mom that sent me that email? And I just, honestly, you guys, more than the earthquake, more than anything else, and more than moving from Canada when I didn't know anyone and all that, my parents are Kiwis. I came here for a year to discover my heritage, fell in love, and I went back once in 15 years. Seriously, crazy. But anyway, care what you think more. So I cared so much what she thought for honestly like 2, maybe 3 years. It was kind of embarrassing. It really, really like affected me. I don't know why it affected me so much, but it really did. So what I've learned from that is, of course, I care what other people think. Like I take her comments on board, even though there was no bun with the burger. But care what other people think, but care what you think more. And I think that's my final tip. That's tip number 3. And I think that is a really great advice for whatever comes your way in life. And it helps you to have dust yourself off ability. When someone says something, you're like, okay, I can just dust myself off and get up again. Especially if anyone else in business here, right? Or putting yourself out there, you need to have dust yourself off ability so you can move forward. So that's what that says. Care what others think, but care what you think more. it's because I came off the battery. There we go. And that here's a classic example. So I added essential oils to my business a few years ago. I got massive pushback from my husband and my dad, the two most important men in my life. And it was a classic case of course I care what you guys think, but this actually feels right to me. I don't know why. I'm just gonna go down this path, even though I have a successful business and all that. And I did. And 6 months later, when I was trying to help everyone and all the overwhelmed moms and all the overworked entrepreneurs with my oils, 6 months later, my boy's hair starts falling out. And I was like, forgive, console. I couldn't even talk about it for a year without crying. I mean, he just turned 11. It was 4 years ago, and I still am on the verge when I talk about it. So for me, I was like, of course I care what other people think, but I just felt right to do that, to go down that path with my business. Oh, I'm not mad. All right, so I'd love you to think of something that you want in your life or business, in your family, to up your brave. Just have a little think about something that you genuinely want to do, not something you feel like you should do or said you would do. Oh, thanks. Is that what that is? Is that from my shoe? No, thank you. Just have a think about it. I think so often we're so busy, we don't even know what we want. We just know what we need to do, or what we said we would do, the to-do list. So just have a little think. I'm not going to get you to share, but just have a think about it. Something that you really want to do to up your brave, and have a little think about that. You can write it down. Sorry. All right. So think about that thing in your mind, that thing that you want to do, and think about what if you don't? What if you don't do it? What if in a year's time, Tracy and I were back here again talking to you guys, and you're like, oh, I never, applied for that leadership position at work, or gosh, I never wrote that book that's just in my heart, right? What if you don't do it? I'm not saying you have to, it's your life, but what if you do? What would things look like if you actually upped your brave and you took that step out of the frustration zone and you did that thing? All right. Yeah, and do you want to raise your personal impact factor? Because when you guys start doing that, more of what you actually want to do, whoa, the trickle-down effect is amazing. That's what I help people with, which is awesome. And you guys, these are my clients. I help them get on TV, do a great job. She's amazing. This is Anne. She does connection-centered parenting, which is so amazing, mindfulness and helping moms to really be in the moment, which is not the rushing around. Not basically the opposite of what I was in my first few years as a mother. Maybe you don't want to be on TV, but maybe it's a matter of you just want to be more confident in the way you show up. This is Josie, one of my clients. So she's just started pole dancing with her husband. Seriously, she started pole dancing lessons because she's like, I just want to have more fun. Does anyone ever feel like all I do is work and make dinner and stuff? Right? So it's if you want to what do you want to do? It doesn't have to be a big, I write a book thing. It can be I want to start pole dancing lessons, or I want to do something fun. She actually just entered a bikini contest as well, and she started getting up at 5. She's a teacher. She started getting up at 5 and going on these, to the gym. And then she said it's amazing. She comes home and, she's already done it. I'm I've heard about that getting up at 5 thing, but yeah, haven't done it yet. My husband gets up at 5 for swimming. Yeah, so whatever your thing might be, whatever it is, I just want to invite you to step towards the Up Your Brave zone so that you can do more of what you want and increase your personal impact factor. There's a free download if you guys want to grab it on my website. That's my daughter. I met Mom Neely Beach. And it has 6 tips to up your brave. All right, I think that is my last slide. And there's my family. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nat. I really like the taking out the should and must. And yeah, that's something that you can too easily have in the vocabulary. So, all really good tips. I thought that if Nat and Shirley are happy to pop on up, if anyone's got any questions, we're quite happy to take a few now before we finish for the evening.
Should we sit?
Yeah, let's sit. You're small, come in people.
We'll
Yeah.
we'll have a little panel. We'll just sit here on chairs.
So, yeah, we're basically, like we say, we're the experts for the areas that we work in and things we do, but we don't know everything. We're not the expert in everything. So we're keen to hear from you as well. And is there anything that resonated from any of these talks today that you'd like to ask a few more questions on? Yes, thank you for breaking the silence.
So really interesting the zones that you mentioned, and so I just happen to have just got to the 4th zone.
Great.
So I'm feeling really good, especially today.
I'm gonna give you a high five.
Yeah. I've been coming to workshops like these for a few years. I'm putting things in place like in family, like you said, and so I feel really good. And just up there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how long am I gonna be here? Because these zones are, you go back and forth a little bit, no?
You can do.
And so the other thing that I was gonna say is the crisis are quite important because then they also drive a change really quickly as well.
Did you say the crisis?
The crisis points? Like,
Yeah.
I can't anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're like,
Yes.
working on the great ideas. Yeah. So just a bit scary.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're right. So the crisis, you said, when you're in the frustration zone, it's actually good because at that point you're like, you know what? Enough is enough. Like, I'm done, right? And whether it's a relationship, a job, whatever it might be, you're like, this is like, something's got to give. Exactly. Something's good. It's an emergency. Something's got to give. So so it's kind of good. But the danger is you can slip back down to one of these, or you can step up. And you're saying, but I'm in that zone. I want to stay in that upper brave zone. Yeah, you can get pulled back down. That's why I said how many people are in the zone that they want to be in right now. Maybe a year ago they were in the upper brave zone, right? But what we want to do is stay most of the time in that zone and learn how to catch ourselves with our languaging or with the people we hang out with. One of the other tips, a little sneak peek, is what are you feeding yourself? Like, what are you reading? Who are you listening to? Shirley talked about the scroll. Who are you following? Like, what are you consuming, not just on your plate? That's important. But also like mindset, like what are you telling yourself? What are the words, and all those things. So when we learn how to catch ourselves in the micro moments of every day of life, that can help us to then use some of these tips that we've all mentioned tonight and move ourselves towards the upper brave zone.
Also about the zones.
Yeah.
When you were talking about them in terms of before I was going through and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe that one, maybe that one. Then
You want them all?
No. That one again. But I sort of felt that when you sort of think about what zone, I hope you will sort of can identify what zone you're in. I can't, and I'm something, so I'm 25 now, and I sort of noticed when I lived, but probably since I was about 20, 21, I felt like if somebody said to me, what do you really want, I wouldn't really be able to tell you in lots of different ways. And so
that's not going to change. Right? Yeah. Everyone who's over that, like we're all like, here's a tip. No one's got it all figured out, right, guys?
Yeah.
No one's got it. Don't be fooled. Nobody's got it all figured out, and so don't feel like you should have it all figured out. But sometimes it's like, well, I don't know what I want. Like, I have no idea what I want. Sometimes we don't know what we want, but we know what we don't want, and that's a good place to start. You know what? Enough is enough, right? So I have no idea what I want. That's too big for me right now. No problem. What don't you want? What are you not going to stand for? Oh, that's easy. So I would start there.
I don't think there's any big epiphany that anyone has. Like, there's not a moment where everyone goes, I've now got it figured out. I think it's what do you enjoy? And a lot of my sideline work that I do doesn't earn me a lot of money at the moment, but I know I'm meant to be doing it because I enjoy doing it. So I've got my corporate career, which I also enjoy, and that sustains my, paying my mortgage and everything like that. But I know I'm meant to be doing the other stuff because it sings with my heart, it feels. So I think just concentrate on what you love doing, and every other path just opens naturally. It really does when you're doing what you love. Yeah.
can I just
follow up on that question.
Yeah.
So listen, I was going to ask a very similar question.